Good morning, and here we are testing this brand new Lego gun. Hello guys, this is Vole and welcome back to another accurate and powerful Lego Guns episode where we've got this beautiful little hunting rifle that's high power. Now, it's a very simple mechanism, as I may have shown you last week. If you want to see the shots, I've put the shots on there for you. And of course, this was the gun that broke a piece of Lego, which is quite good for a Lego gun. So we're going to go on to the range test, but before we do, just a bit of information on why I came up with this style of design. This would have been a type of design used on classical rifles in the olden days, but we're not talking about musket days, we're talking about olden days in modern rifling, where we have repeatable or single shot shotguns, rifles, or even semi-auto. And this rifle design is a type of design that's used in many old rifles, including semi-autos, even some full auto. Unfortunately, we've only managed to fathom a single shot hunting rifle, but nonetheless it is extremely powerful. This was long before the days of the pistol grip, as you may have noticed, and it's even got the nice trigger guard here that's separate from the main grip stock. So those are just the slight basics of the gun. Now before we do the range test, I'm going to quickly show you how to reload the gun. All you do is take this nice little bullet, put it on top of the gun, pull this brand out. Now the gun is cocked. Now you pull the gun up, you aim down the sight, and it's now shot. You've now projected a high power shot with some devastation. Without further ado, it's time to test the range of this gun. So here we are with the range test to see how far these guns can go. So we're going to load our projectile. Whoa! You'll have to see these in a minute. Here's our second bullet. And that is the range test. Now let's see how far these bullets have gone. You won't believe how far that gun shot the bullets. First bullet went around 9 meters away from where I was shooting it from. But the second bullet, right here, which is 12 meters from where I shot. It left the garden of which I was shooting in and went very close to this wall. It was about this bit away from the wall, which is not that far, which proves to you that the gun is a good shooter and can shoot very far. This is basically near where the bullet actually landed, and I have to say that is quite a distance. It may not be a distance for certain guns, but for mine it certainly is, and it's the farthest that my Lego guns have gone, in which this means that it is the most powerful I have ever had. We now know this is the furthest shooting gun that we've ever made, and we're going to see how accurate this gun is. But before we do this, allow me to talk through the logistics of this hunting carbine. As I've told you before, this hunting rifle is based upon many hunting carbines of this design, mainly in the 19th and 20th century. This was an initial design of all the model rifles, and this was dumped away in favour of the pistol grip. And whilst it may not have the benefits of a pistol grip, it certainly is very nice to hold. It's very comfortable in my hand, and it's very easy to pull the trigger and keep your finger on the trigger guard to prevent yourself from firing the trigger. The next bit was a pain in the arse to do, but it was worth it, in which we got the flat pieces on the top to smooth out the gun, and we managed to make this kind of shape, where this set were one stud higher than the other set. We haven't managed to make the same effect on the main body, because this needs to shoot the bullet, obviously needs to have some certain precautions to make sure it can still project each projectile that I want to put in there, but it is still flat. Again, it was a pain in the arse finding the pieces, but again, it was very much worth the hassle. Now if we go to the bottom of the gun, we'll have the approach on making the bottom of the gun have that shape of the classic rifles. I didn't have enough inverted slopes, which was the first thing, and also I wanted to include that kind of effect where one is one lower than the other set, like on the top. Unlike the top of the gun, we were able to do it down the barrel as well, and it looks very nice. We used base plates to create that look and feel. It kind of feels brittle to hold when you're rubbing down it, but most of the time you won't even notice it is there. Next thing we're talking about here is the sight. The iron sight is very nice. It is a adjustable iron sight, and you can adjust this part here, the rear sight, and this front sight, which you look down first. You can change the different sight here with the same mechanism. They use these different beams to connect them, which is why they can do this. To enable a lock-in mechanism, or to enable it to lock properly, we used slope pieces. However, it can be done as well with flat pieces. And it suits any setting that you would want to use. This is the more close range sight. This is the more shotgun style sight. This is the pistol style sight, and we have that little bit at the end. You can adjust that to any measure that you want to use. Now, whilst many of you may be wondering, why is there a big gaping hole in this gun? Well, that's because I took this sight out. But it just demonstrates to you how easy the sight is to put in. And if you want to use a different sighting system, you can. In my opinion, these sights look very nice, and they're very adjustable and versatile, which means that I can change the sights whenever I have a new situation in shooting present. But there is a reason why these are studded, and I'm now going to show it to you. I remember back when my sight was just a hunk of Lego. It was just a black bulk of Lego. It's turned from that to this sight. It still serves the purpose of having a red dot reticle in the gun, but this time it looks very nice. And as you can see, it uses sloped pieces to lead up to the top. If I take off the top of the sight here, you can see the piece. There's flat pieces here, and then there's the piece which has the red dot sight there. So we used a 2-stud base with 1 stud that's centered stud, I don't know what they're actually called, and I put some round studs on the top which would go all the way down here and fit between the 2x4 flat base plates. Then we got the sight slopes on the top, and the sight effect has been achieved. Especially when I make my videos, I love the ice cool refreshment of a Coca-Cola. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can pierce the can of Coca-Cola with my powerhouse. Now we're going to test it with and without water. First test will be without water. Quite a nice sound there. Just going to put the gun down. I'm going to show you. It did not pierce the actual can itself. However, it did make a dent. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to fill this can, and then we're going to retry the test. We're going to test the Coke with the water in. The can with the water in. So obviously we need to make sure that the water is a sizable distance from the camera. I'm going to test it. Oh! Holy fucking Jesus! Look at that! Look at that. Now that is actually spilling, and you can see why I kept the can away from the camera. Rip more hole. Fucking useless. It's time for the accuracy test. Can this gun with the 2 bullets hit those 2 targets? Let's find out. We now got the gun firing at target 1. Pass. Now let's get the other bullet. Let's hit target 2. Can I pass that test? No. But it did manage to break the target that it did hit apart. So it doesn't always hit the target when you aim, but when it does, it's fan-dabby-dozy. Now let's go on to the precision test. So here we are with the precision test, and we're going to check the gun in its trajectory and see if it can hit a target consistently. Test 1. Pass. Can it get back after the failure in the accuracy test? Let's find out. So here's the final test. Fail. Before we finish, I'd like to give you my general thoughts, which means I'll be talking to you about this gun, the things I like about this gun, the things I don't necessarily like about this gun, and my general thoughts. So first, what I like about this gun. It's realistic looking. It has a versatile sighting system. Those are 2 very good things for the gun. It is very powerful. It goes far. It is almost always accurate, and it is extremely reliable, although it can misfire. It feels comfortable. It's comfortable to aim down, it's comfortable to hold, and it's easy to discipline the trigger, which I think trigger discipline is probably the most important skill you will ever learn, and it's made easier by the comfortability. Now, the gun is very strong, robust, almost never breaks. Sometimes it can because it's Lego, but it's very robust. And it is a very cool design, certainly very classical. So for those classical fans, you could go and get this or make it yourself. I have shown you the mechanism, so if you want to make it, use that. I won't be giving out instructions, unfortunately, because I believe I've given you too much. I've given you the mechanism, how it works, and all that shebang. So if you want to have it, build it yourself. You already know the mechanism, and you can see how many studs there are. The gun is rifle size, and this is another good thing about it. It's 70 centimeters in length. The overall length is 70 centimeters, and I think the barrel is around 30 centimeters long, 30 to 40, which is very rifle-like and would fit in the UK classification of rifles, which is why we can have semi-automatic pistols that have the coat hangers and long barrels on the end. But it certainly looks cool and would be something I'd love to keep, but I have to take this down and make more Lego guns. What I don't necessarily like about this is the compromise I had to make for the sighting system. The sloped piece was different here, but it had to change in order to house this, and I wasn't prepared to go back and dismantle the entire thing just to add a sighting system. The sighting system is good, but it has compromised a slight part of my gun. Not too much of a biggie though. The gun still works just as well. It's pretty darn good. What else I don't like is that sometimes the sights can accidentally be flipped up or flipped down by reloading. Another thing is, when it misfires, you have to take everything off just to fix the misfire. I prefer to have everything on when I'm fixing a misfire, and it just doesn't cut the mustard for me. And it's a pain to put back on, and sometimes when you're pulling back on the bevel part, it hurts on your hands, but on the most part it's comfortable. Another thing I don't really like is how it looks like it's going to break because of the pieces I used, yet it doesn't break at all, which is a good and a bad thing. It's a mixed blessing there. And the trigger guard, that's shit. I don't care if it's profane, I'm just going to say it right now, it's shit. But besides this, the gun is really good, and I recommend that you build this for yourself. Thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, click like. If you want to see more, click subscribe. And of course, next week we'll be showing you the shooting montage for our Lego crossbow.